And gypsies don't do well inside stone walls.
Disney's got a lot of good villains. Well, they were good before 2010. We got classic ones like Scar, the witch from Snow White, Jafar, Captain Hook, you know, all the OGs. But the one thing all these villains have in common is that they know damn well what they're doing is wrong. This dude though, he 100% believes that what he's doing is pure justice. Judge Frollo is a judge in both the novel and Disney iterations of The Hunchback of Notre Dame, where his primary objective is to take down gypsies, heretics, and even the poor. Which is just wild. How are you going to consider the poor unholy like... like this dude was wilding the entire film. As someone with high political status, it's almost without a doubt that he was brought up with a strict Catholic environment. And with this being the Middle Ages, a lot of people of high status were brought up to believe that anyone who did something that they didn't fully comprehend or understand were basically in cahoots with the devil. This included people of science. They were also brought up to give strict punishment for those who defied the holy laws without remorse. Now his motives for the extermination of the gypsies is uncertain. Whether he was raised to believe these things or if he genuinely believes that they are in cahoots with the devil is unsure. His cruelty, however, isn't what sets him apart from the other Disney characters. It's his sense of justice, where he believes that his punishments cleanse the wickedness out of the souls of people he deems deserving of it. They were also generally good priests and officials too, however, as the movies show, they are few and far in between. In the first scenes, we see him go full Arthur Morgan and chase a gypsy woman with a baby. Dude didn't try to interrogate her, he just assumed that she stole something. The dude catches up to her with his big black horse, where he stomps her out on the floor and kills her instantly. And if that's not bad enough, he then attempts to end the baby's life.
Stop! Cried the Archdeacon.
This is an unholy demon. I'm sending it back to hell.
Really?
You're telling me that because the baby's a bit deformed, that it's a demon. I'm sure that since he's a high political figure, that he has seen some disfigured or disabled people before. But I think it's the fact that the baby is from a gypsy is what brings him to the conclusion that the baby is in fact a demon. The priest then goes on saying that he killed an innocent woman for no reason, but he genuinely fully believes that she ran because she was guilty. Like, no dude, you're chasing her down with a 400-pound crack horse. What do you think she was gonna do? Only until the priest points to the multiple statues of the holy figures does this dude show some amount of fear. He was terrified of going to hell, and out of the priest's suggestion, he decides to raise Quasimodo, but not out of charity. He literally belittles Quasimodo during most of his adult life. Like, look at this.
You are deformed.
I am deformed.
And you are ugly.
And I am ugly.
And these are crimes for which the world shows little pity. You do not comprehend.
You are my one defender.
Out there they'll revile you as a monster.
I am a monster.
The guy basically told him that he's so ugly that anyone would drown him, which is just a crazy statement. He even sings an entire song on just how ugly Quasimodo is. Me personally, I'm throwing hands. I think we all can agree that that's a reasonable crash out. And let's not forget that he lied to Quasimodo his entire life, saying that his mother abandoned him, setting the precedence that gypsies are all heartless heathens, when in reality it was him who... He tells old Quasi that he's forbidden to go to the Festival of Fools because it's a place of heathens and sin. The dude also punishes his own subordinates, who, as he said to Captain Phoebus, disappointed him. My guy really said pause between lashes so that the one being punished doesn't get numb to the new. He explains to Captain Phoebus that the gypsies are like the plague, and something that he's been trying to take care of for more than 2 decades, but he can't find a stronghold to eliminate them once and for all. But boy oh boy, my partner's heart skips a beat when he sees Esmeralda for the very first time dancing. At first he knew damn well that he was entranced, but for the sake of character I guess he locked in and called it a disgusting display. But it's like, come on bro, you're not fooling anyone. All it took was one scarf pull and blood was gone. Now our boy Quasimodo disobeyed Frollo and went to the festival, which makes sense since being locked up for so long isn't good for the soul, I'd imagine. On second thought, maybe it was for the best. Frollo is initially pissed, but when the crowd starts tying him down and throwing fruit at him, he suddenly develops a smile on his face and tells Phoebus that it's basically a learning experience for Quasimodo since he defied his word. He then has a bit of a tantrum, saying Esmeralda will pay for defying him. His entire theme, it seems, is that anyone who disobeys him also defies the will of God and is deserving of punishment. Alright, I can kinda see how this one's valid. Like hundreds of years ago, if you saw someone disappear right in front of you in a pile of pink smoke, I'd imagine you'd think it was supernatural. After Esmeralda basically embarrassed him, he pulls the meanest "wait till we get back at home" I've ever seen from a parent figure. However, it's the events after this where he tells Phoebus to find her but keep her alive. When he does find Esmeralda in the church, he insisted everyone arrest her, but the priest guilt trips him from his past and the guy pretends to leave, but slumps behind a pillar like a pervatosaurus. I have seen Disney villains kill entire families, promote genocide, and even try to eliminate their own bloodline, but none yet have I seen pull some shit like this.
You think you've outwitted me, but I'm a patient man, and gypsies don't do well inside stone walls.
Yeah, that brother's starving.
Like my guy is starving, he took a deep inhale and I'm sure his eyes rolled to the back of his skull when they were closed. He tried to play it off saying he was imagining a rope around her neck, when I think we all knew what he was imagining. Dude was pressed up so close against her that he wanted her to feel it.
Such a clever witch. So typical of your kind to twist the truth, to cloud the mind with unholy thoughts.
This was my exact reaction, even as a child. You were the one who went up on her and now you're calling her a witch because she's calling you out for your perverted behavior. And again, he genuinely believes in what he says. He dead ass thinks that Esmeralda is trying to put him under some lustful spell or something. But in truth, he was just starving, like someone should have made a medieval Tinder or something for him. By the way, if you're liking this video so far, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. I know a lot of YouTubers say this, but it genuinely does help me with the algorithm and allows me to continue making vids like this. Thanks for your support, and let's get back to the video. After sniffing her hair, my boy overflows with horniness and presents one of the best musicals ever produced by Disney. The guy sings about how she's a witch who's responsible for his uncontrollable feelings of lust towards her, where he then asks for forgiveness and exclaims that Esmeralda should be thrown into the pits of hell unless she chooses him. Wouldn't she have to choose the Lord or our Savior to be saved, not you? Like again, I'm gonna keep bringing this up. He genuinely believes that his actions are righteous, and if she doesn't take him as his wife, she will be cast into hell. Overfilled with what I can only say is pure horniness, he destroys countless homes and even almost burns an innocent family alive because the guy just wanted to help those in need. Luckily, Phoebus saves them but is sentenced to death by Frollo and is then saved by Esmeralda and then Quasimodo later on. Frollo, however, is very clever and figured out that it was only Quasimodo who could have helped Esmeralda escape the tower. He surprisingly, well for him at least, managed to keep his cool for the most part.
I know where her hideout is, and tomorrow at dawn, I attack with 1,000 men.
That smile at the end basically proved that he was lying. He used quick thinking to evaluate that Quasimodo would try to warn the gypsies of his threat, and he just followed Quasimodo and the captain to the hideout. What's worse is that he guilt trips Quasimodo even more and tells him that he was finally of use to him, and tells the guards to lock him up basically. As he was about to light Esmeralda up, he gave her two choices.
You stand upon the brink of the abyss, yet even now it is not too late. I can save you from the flames of this world and the next. Choose me or the fire.
Like, this is how I imagine serious gooners do negotiations. When she refuses, the guy then goes on a rant about how she puts everyone in Paris at risk, just because she doesn't want to take him. This guy is just on a different level of just how he views the world and the justice he preaches about. After the entire city revolts, he goes up and tries to kill Quasimodo, not before...
Silence, you old fool! The hunchback and I have unfinished...
But then he gets knocked on his feet and then pulls out the let's not be rash pose to Quasimodo. He at least is self-aware that the hunchback would one-shot him without a weapon. After chasing Quasimodo around, he finally spills the beans on how his mother actually died. And on the brink of ecstasy, he pulls out the most raw, unfiltered speech and his eyes turn blood red. Like, this is some premium Gooner membership type stuff right here. I think he was actually possessed. But the gargoyle he was standing on started to collapse, and he slips as he was trying to get a hold for dear life. The gargoyles, who appeared to only have made contact with Quasimodo, came to life, and my guy basically saw a glimpse of hell as he was plunged into the molten metal and sent to, well, the fiery pit, as he said to most people before he killed them. Disney's most raw and accurate villain comes to an end. The entire thing about Frollo as a villain is that again he isn't overdone like a lot of the other villains who are portrayed as a bit too showy or unrealistic. Now, I'm a Christian, but I'm certain a good chunk of people had to go through this at some point in time, or even had their own Frollo. In medieval times, many women were deemed witches and even put to death for similar things such as Esmeralda. If the corrupt priests or even officials didn't get their way with them, these women would be put to death or tortured. Hell, some women were even seen as Satanists if they displayed too much intelligence. The townsfolk weren't safe either, since if they were caught helping what some of the churches deemed as heretics, they would be punished as well. And for these punishments, death would seem like a better alternative. So back to Frollo. While he isn't as flamboyant or over-exaggerated as some of the other villains, his cold gaze and generally calm demeanor most of the time sets him up as one of the best villains out there, where he slays and tortures anyone who goes against his will, which in his mind is the extension of God's, whether guilty or innocent.